For 5 seasons, the Brady Bunch served as America's ultimate symbol of wholesome family comedy, leaving an undeniable mark on television history. Fans across the country tuned in weekly, believing the squeaky clean sitcom was entirely free of controversy. But tucked away inside one infamous episode was a shocking, boundary-pushing moment that network executives simply could not overlook. The resulting outrage blew up so fast behind closed doors that the entire show was suddenly pulled right off the airwaves, completely stunning millions of loyal viewers. Which taboo scene was deemed way too scandalous for broadcast? Join us as we get into all the details. How one innocent scene turned into the Brady Bunch's biggest scandal. For years, the Brady Bunch represented everything television executives wanted in a family sitcom. It was wholesome, cheerful, and filled with life lessons that always ended with parents Mike and Carol Brady guiding their 6 children back onto the right path. Viewers saw the Brady household as the perfect American family, making it almost impossible to imagine that one seemingly innocent scene would eventually become so controversial that it sent the show into the middle of an unexpected storm. What looked like an ordinary family moment at first glance would later be remembered for crossing a line that television simply was not prepared to accept. Ironically, the polished image audiences embraced was only part of the story. Away from the cameras, the cast experienced the same complicated realities as many young Hollywood stars of the era. There were secret romances between cast members, stories of drug use, disagreements over creative decisions, and personal struggles that never made it onto television. While the Brady family projected perfection every Friday night, life behind the scenes was far more complicated than viewers ever imagined. Premiering on ABC in September 1969, The Brady Bunch was created by television producer Sherwood Schwartz and followed the daily adventures of a blended family adjusting to life under one roof. Mike Brady, a widowed architect played by Robert Reed, married Carol Martin, portrayed by Florence Henderson, bringing together 6 children from their previous families. Greg, Peter, and Bobby joined Marcia, Jan, and Cindy to form one of television's most recognizable households alongside their loyal housekeeper, Alice Nelson, and the family's dog, Tiger. Although the series originally ran for only 5 seasons before ending in 1974, its popularity exploded in syndication, transforming it into a television classic that generations of families would continue watching for decades. Much of the show's success came from Florence Henderson, whose warm performance as Carol Brady helped define the ideal television mother. Yet, those who knew her personally often described a woman whose sense of humor was much more mischievous than audiences expected. The very idea for the Brady Bunch came from an unlikely source. Sherwood Schwartz once recalled reading a brief newspaper statistic revealing that nearly 1/3 of marriages involved children from previous relationships. That single fact inspired him to create a television series centered on a blended family. Although networks initially rejected the idea, everything changed after the success of Yours, Mine, and Ours, convincing ABC to finally give Schwartz's concept a chance. The gamble paid off in spectacular fashion. But years later, one brief morning scene would threaten the spotless reputation the series had worked so hard to build. Before audiences ever met the Brady family, Sherwood Schwartz was already solving a surprisingly complicated puzzle. Since the actors playing Mike and Carol Brady had not yet been chosen, he had no idea whether the television parents would be blondes or brunettes. To avoid limiting his options, Schwartz auditioned 12 children instead of 6, selecting 3 blonde boys, 3 dark-haired boys, 3 blonde girls, and 3 brunette girls. Once the parents were cast, the children's hair colors would simply match them. Schwartz later joked that somewhere in the world, 6 actors who narrowly missed the cut only discovered years later that they had almost become members of television's most famous family. Even after the final cast was selected, appearances still had to be carefully adjusted. Mike Lukinland, who won the role of Bobby Brady, was naturally strawberry blonde. Once Robert Reed was chosen to play the dark-haired Mike Brady, Lukinland's hair had to be dyed repeatedly so he would convincingly resemble his television father. Susan Olsen faced an even more frustrating experience. Although she was naturally blonde, Producers wanted Cindy's hair to appear even lighter on camera, so it was constantly bleached throughout filming. The process eventually took a painful toll. During the second season, chunks of Olsen's hair began falling out because of the repeated bleaching treatments. Distressed by the damage, she personally appealed to Sherwood Schwartz, who immediately stepped in and ordered the crew to stop altering her hair. Casting the Brady parents proved just as interesting. Before Robert Reed secured the role of Mike Brady, Sherwood Schwartz hoped to interview Gene Hackman for the part. Studio executives quickly dismissed the idea, arguing that Hackman lacked enough television recognition to attract audiences. Reed, already under contract with Paramount and familiar to viewers through The Defenders, was considered the safer choice. Ironically, only a year after the Brady Bunch premiered, Hackman starred in The French Connection, won the Academy Award for Best Actor, and became one of Hollywood's biggest stars, proving just how wrong those early predictions turned out. One of the biggest decisions that shaped the Brady Bunch happened before the cameras even started rolling. While audiences can hardly imagine anyone other than Florence Henderson as the loving Carol Brady, she was not originally expected to play the role. In fact, comedic actress Joyce Bulifant came so close to landing the part that she appeared alongside many of the child actors during their screen tests. Sherwood Schwartz initially pictured Mrs. Brady as a more playful, over-the-top mother, inspired by Lucille Ball's energetic performance in Yours, Mine, and Ours. The plan changed almost overnight when Emmy Award-winning actress and Bette Davis joined the series as Alice, the Brady family's wisecracking housekeeper. Davis naturally brought plenty of comedy to every scene, making Schwartz realize the show no longer needed an eccentric mother figure. Instead, the family required someone who could provide warmth, stability, and emotional balance. That realization opened the door for Florence Henderson, whose calm and nurturing presence ultimately became one of the defining features of the series. The longer the Brady Bunch stayed on the air, the more its young cast found themselves balancing ordinary teenage lives with the pressure of playing America's favorite family. That balancing act occasionally led to moments the producers would rather forget. Barry Williams has openly admitted that, like many teenagers growing up in the early 1970s, he experimented with marijuana. The difference was that one of those mistakes ended up being preserved on television forever. During what he thought was a day off, Williams was relaxing with friends when production unexpectedly called him back to the studio to film additional scenes. He had little choice but to report to work even though he was still feeling the effects. Looking back, Williams laughed at the memory, while admitting he deeply regretted the decision. According to him, anyone who watches the 1973 episode Law and Disorder can spot the difference. He later joked that the experience proved he was a far better actor when completely sober. The series also reflected some of television's stricter broadcasting standards, many of which seem almost unbelievable today. One detail that sharp-eyed fans eventually noticed was the children's shared bathroom. Despite 6 kids using it every day, the room never featured a visible toilet. At the time, television networks still considered showing a toilet bowl on screen inappropriate for family programming. Rather than deal with difficult camera angles every episode, the production simply removed the toilet altogether, creating one of the strangest design choices in sitcom history. Another mystery involved Carol Brady herself. Throughout the series, viewers knew Mike Brady was a widower, but the fate of Carol's first husband was never explained. Sherwood Schwartz originally intended for Carol to be divorced, and early scripts even identified her previous married name as Martin. However, divorce remained a sensitive topic for family television, and network executives preferred leaving the subject untouched. As a result, the show quietly avoided explaining what became of Mr. Martin. Years later, Florence Henderson often responded to the endless questions with her trademark sense of humor, joking that Carol had simply killed him. The young cast also formed close friendships that sometimes developed into innocent childhood romances. Susan Olsen, who played Cindy Brady, later revealed that nearly all the Brady kids paired off at one point during filming. Spending so much time together on set naturally created crushes between the young actors. Olsen even admitted that she and Mike Kinland, who played Bobby, used to sneak away to the doghouse, set to kiss when they were only 9 years old. She also recalled Eve Plum eventually becoming involved with Christopher Knight, while Barry Williams and Maureen McCormick's relationship became the best-known romance among the cast. Although these childhood relationships were harmless, they offered another reminder that behind television's perfect family were ordinary kids simply growing up together. The episode that many fans believe brought the Brady Bunch crashing to an end centered on one unbelievable scene. Just days before his high school graduation, Greg Brady used a miracle hair tonic that somehow turned his hair bright orange overnight. To many viewers, it was just another silly sitcom plot. But behind the scenes, the storyline sparked such fierce backlash from the show's biggest star that it led to an explosive standoff with producers, leaving the Brady family's patriarch missing from the series finale. For decades, that bizarre episode has fueled rumors that it was the very reason the Brady Bunch disappeared from television. But what really happened behind the cameras tells a far more fascinating story. Aired on March 8, 1974, The Harebrained Scheme became the final episode of the Brady Bunch original run. The story follows Bobby Brady as he tries to earn extra money by selling bottles of hair tonic. Hoping to help his older brother, he convinces Greg to try the product before his upcoming high school graduation. Instead of making Greg's hair healthier, the tonic turns it a bright shade of orange, sending the entire family into a frantic race to fix the disaster before graduation day. While Greg's orange hair became the focus of the episode, viewers quickly noticed something even stranger. Mike Brady was nowhere to be found. The family's father, who had guided the Brady children through every major milestone over the previous 5 seasons, was suddenly absent during one of the biggest moments of Greg's life. Near the end of the episode, Carol casually explains that Mike is simply out of town. But the brief explanation left many fans wondering what had really happened. The truth was unfolding behind the scenes. Robert Reed, who played Mike Brady, strongly objected to the script almost immediately. Throughout the series, Reed had frequently clashed with creator Sherwood Schwartz over what he believed were increasingly unrealistic storylines. As a classically trained Shakespearean actor, Reed preferred grounded family drama over exaggerated comedy, and the orange hair storyline became the breaking point. According to Sherwood Schwartz, Reed arrived on set and declared that he would not perform in the episode. Although he remained at the studio, he refused to step in front of the cameras. Barry Williams later confirmed in his autobiography that Reed believed the script simply was not good television. Producer Lloyd Schwartz later revealed that Reed's biggest complaint was straightforward. Hair tonic could not possibly turn someone's hair bright orange overnight. Rather than rewrite the script, the producers moved forward without him. Mike Brady's dialogue was reassigned to Carol and Alice, allowing production to continue despite the absence of one of the show's central characters. Ironically, almost no one involved realized they were filming what would become the series finale. Despite the rumors that have circulated for decades, there is no evidence that this episode or its infamous orange hair scene actually caused ABC to cancel the Brady Bunch. The series had never been a major rating success during its original network run, even though it later exploded in popularity through syndication. By the time The Harebrained Scheme aired, the show had already produced enough episodes for profitable reruns, and ABC decided not to renew it for another season. The controversy surrounding Reed's refusal to appear, combined with the show's cancellation shortly afterward, helped create one of television's most enduring myths. It certainly looked as though one ridiculous storyline had brought America's favorite television family to an abrupt end. In reality, the scene didn't get the Brady Bunch taken off the air, but it did expose the growing tensions that had been building behind the scenes for years, making it the perfect ending to one of television's most beloved sitcoms. What Brady Bunch episode is your favorite till this very day? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.